I'm not kidding you. I saw this show. It was fantastic. Here's what it's called. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. It was called Evil Dead, the Musical.
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 The brand new hit musical, Evil Dead.
We got fans of Evil Dead here tonight.
The greatest musical phenomenon on the planet.
Zombies that sing and dance like... It doesn't get better than that.
Evil Dead the Musical is a lot of fun. I've seen it a couple times now. Once on Broadway, and I realized it was the only way I was going to get anywhere near Broadway, was to go see it on Broadway. It was actually off Broadway, but I prefer to just say Broadway. Broadway adjacent.
It was huge in New York.
The show went from the Toronto Fringe to off-Broadway in about 2 years' time.
It's a really clever stage show. I mean, they're chopping limbs off, the blood is flying.
Comedy, camp horror, upbeat musical numbers.
Rock and roll, a lot of fun, a cult film, and buckets of blood.
Better than any theater experience you will ever have in your entire life.
It was like the musical Hairspray, but for straight men.
Now, the people that do come out should be aware of one thing. It's a little thing called the splatter zone.
The first 3 rows are the cheap seats. That's the splatter zone.
The splatter zone.
There's a splatter zone.
And people come dressed in white because they're going to get blood on them.
They've got this warning before the show starts. If you're sitting in the first 3 rows, you're going to be covered in blood. So, of course, in the first one. Covered in blood. I was only there for the weekend. That was the only clothes I had. And it's very tricky getting back through customs. You've only been out of the... You've been out of the country for 48 hours, and you come back and your clothes are covered in blood. Nothing says hitman like that.
The title sounds familiar. It's because it's based on the 1981 cult horror movie, The Evil Dead.
Evil Dead is one of the first films Spider-Man director Sam Raimi produced.
They amalgamate all 3 movies. It's mostly Evil Dead, with a little bit of Evil Dead 2, and only a skosh of Army of Darkness.
You don't have to know or love the movies to love this music.
To love the show, what else?
Absolutely not. I loved it.
I laughed my head off.
It was unbelievable. It was amazing.
It was fantastic.
Fantastic!
They are so good. I highly recommend you go see it.
It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'll be back tomorrow.
I cannot believe that he liked that.
No.
I'm surprised.
I'm quite amazed that he would do that.
Did you ever see the movie?
I didn't see the movie.
Yeah, I have to say it's
I'm not a big horror fan.
No. Well, it's okay. You do laugh through it. Anyway.